Just starting off, thank you so much for having me. Didn't know David's not here, so I sent him my prayers. And thank you for choosing to have me on today to pour life, speak life into you guys. But I'm gonna save some for the event because I don't want to like don't spill it all in here. Like we want to just make sure that you add value, but like drop the diamonds at the event too. If you guys have any questions when I'm talking, just put them in the chat box just so you don't forget, and then we can come back and maybe answer them a little bit later if it's like in your heart. But thank you for having me. My name is Tanya Oliver, and I'm an executive coach, a high performance coach, specializing with elite entrepreneurs and professional athletes. And my intention, my mission, really, the time that I'm here is to really teach people self-mastery, emotional intelligence, and how to operate at peak performance. Most importantly, when life is not blissful, when there's chaos, which there's a lot of uncertainty the last few years. Right now, we're in an uncertain time. So the best thing you can do is really wisely choose your environment, your community, and your ecosystem, which you guys are here. So you should be in really good hands. And that's what I specialize in.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tanya. Tanya and I and David, we met at a party of a friend of ours, and we really hit it off. And, her message was so impactful to us that we thought it would be so important to bring this to you guys, sometimes people have a message, but the delivery is so important, and her ability to express herself and bring awareness to your own self and how to be better, whether it is in your life or in your business. It's sometimes you just have to you might be hearing the same thing from different people, but there's that one person that really hits the spot and really gets you to the next level. And I feel like she can really touch a lot of lives, especially, she works with a lot of athletes, and both male and female, but me as a woman, I really connected with her and her message and how powerful she is. So Tanya, tell us a little bit about what you're bringing to our conference. What are the key points that you would like people to take away, or not take away, but listen to, gather on that day?
So one of the things that I've seen, especially in the performance industry, and you guys are performers, like you chose the career of choice in the real estate industry, whether you're expanding into investments, if you're expanding into there's so many different, kind of like my tree back here, you got so many different branches in one area. And my core intention is to make sure that you're integrating practical tools, because that's really important, regardless of what's going on in your life. Practical tools that are going to allow you to operate at higher levels so that you're capable of performing. Because one thing I see tremendously is a lot of very skilled, very smart people that are not capable because they don't have the right tools under pressure. And so therefore everything that they've worked so hard to build just ends up getting taken from them like this. And so how are you, and what tools are you going to have that you can actually integrate on a day-by-day basis without feeling overwhelmed, because that's a big thing, without procrastinating, because that's another big thing, and also how to like audit your time and how to manage your time, because I notice that is a very, very big challenge for high-end achievers, like everybody in this room right here. You're in this room because you are a high-end achiever, whether where you're actually experiencing your success or you're not yet, you still have that personality trait of a high-end achiever. And so it's just a matter of time. So you guys got to really be focused, especially right now. Have some really healthy tools to keep you going, regardless of you've got mental turbulence or even the external stuff going on.
So what do you think is one of the biggest things? A lot of us, like you said, we're entrepreneurs here. Yeah, we're real estate agents. A lot of real estate agents forget that you own a business. You actually have to run this business, and there's some factors to it, and you have to encourage your own self to move forward and to do the tasks that you're supposed to do. What have you found to be one of the reasons why people don't do what they're supposed to do? What's the biggest holdback for people?
The biggest holdback, well, There's a few things. It depends on the individual, and it depends also the season that they're in their entrepreneur journey, because there's different levels, there's different seasons, and there's different challenges that people have. But specifically, I could see the core things is a lot of people are very overwhelmed right now, and they don't know how to process their negative thoughts and emotions. There's a lot of anxiety. There's a lot of mental turbulence that creates mental paralysis. And so people feel like there's this big fog in their mind. Another thing that I tremendously see is that because maybe you've been in survival mode for so long, that you can't see past it. So it's almost like this mental fog where when people are like, oh, well, just what do you want? And a lot of people are really hard on themselves because they don't know how to, they don't even know what they want anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe so many disappointments. So the biggest thing is more of really teaching you guys how to become an asset to yourself and your businesses and your families versus a liability. And that starts with what's going on inside of here and in here too.
Yeah, I truly believe that in being lost and not knowing, I guess what your own personal purpose is or motivation is, it definitely like creates that uncertainty, and you just, you get lost in translation is what I usually say, with everything that's going on, and you're just being reactive, to the things that are being thrown at you versus being focused on your path, whatever that is. And now, how do you find that? And I feel like a lot of people struggle with that, and in the realm of real estate, um, there's so many different paths. It's not just as black and white as real estate, There's who are you focusing on? Who is your avatar? Who are you helping? Why are you helping these people? What motivates you to get this done? And many people come into this industry for the money, forgetting that there's more to that. There what you do actually impacts people's lives, and if you do it the right way, you'll reap benefits, natural benefits through your efforts. um what would you say would be a simple activity, or what activities you feel people should be taking throughout the day to help them? You mentioned something about um just daily tasks, like simple things that they can do throughout the day. What kind of things would you suggest people to kind of work on or implement throughout their life, at least starting off, that can help them kind of focus and find their way on what it is that they want to do for themselves?
Well, I'm going to be giving practical tools inside of the event. So those of you guys inside the academy get to see it all if you can't make it. And then those of you who are live, please come and say hi to me and introduce yourself on Tuesday. But I want to tell a story real fast because it was this morning, and I'm human as well, and I have negative thoughts and emotions, but I know how to get out of them quickly without numbing myself. And what I mean by this, and I see this specifically in the real estate industry, is functional addiction and numbing yourself because you're shutting down and shutting up your emotions, and you're not processing them. Like I said, having tools to help you process negative thoughts and emotions so that you knowing, I think also knowing like your negative thoughts and emotions are just information. And so this morning, this went to something that you said, and then I'll share something in a second about like forgetting why you started. And I was doing every Thursday, I meet with a group. I don't know if anybody of you know Dr. Joe Dispenza, but he does a lot of deep, deep, deep healing for people that healed from cancer or like grieving or, all these human things of like a really, you don't necessarily have to go when things get so bad, but he teaches a lot about meditation. And this morning I was doing it something called a walking meditation. I was walking on the beach to just recharge and reconnect with myself. Because remember, everything you guys are doing is an extension of you. So when you pour into you and you increase the value within yourself, that is going to pour into your conversations. It's going to pour into your business negotiations. It's going to pour into your profit margin. It's going to pour into everything because you're are now a high value person, and high value people recognize high value people without even speaking a word. Your energy speaks before your voice is heard. Like energy is felt. And I think you guys can agree on that. So I'm walking on the and I just am in this trance and doing this walking meditation, just really connecting with myself. And the word fulfillment gets brought up. So it's like remembering why and what I want is about fulfillment. But then the other word comes up was freedom. Because yesterday I was interviewing people to do TED Talk, and she's talking about like, well, why, like asking the why, and I was like fulfillment, and then I was like, I knew there was something missing, but it didn't come to my mind, and it was freedom. You guys want financial, you want time freedom, you want, and so in order to have that, you have to, you don't have to do anything. Choose to take care of yourself so that you're capable of keeping up with whatever your Jen, you're asking me about like what are the tasks. I think you guys call them SOPs. So SOPs, the DMOs, the daily methods of operations, the systems of operation. There's human performance systems of operation for you to operate as the highest expression of yourself, as your best self, as your most elite self, I like to say, because you guys are athletes. You're the athletes of the entrepreneur space. And so some daily practices that I would say, it's very simple, but it's not easy, and it's a repetition. And if you ask any highly successful person that you consider made it, they will literally give you a very simple playbook. But most people don't follow through, and they don't consistently show up. It's like if you brush your teeth. If you go to the dentist and the dentist's like, oh, you're good, you don't got any cavities, you don't need any root canals this time, you don't need any of this and that, and you go and you're like, cool, and you just stop brushing your teeth. Like, what do you think is going to happen? It's the same thing with our businesses. It's the same thing with our health. It's the same thing with our relationships. And so there are, I call them DMOs. There are daily DMOs, daily methods of operating in order to operate at peak performance. And I always go back to the foundation. What is my foundation? What is my core? How do I have a strong spine? And it's sleep. Sleep is number one. You talk to any like high-end people, the ones even that abused themselves when they were younger, and now that they're older and they made their money, they're like, I wish I would have done better. Like with that part, your sleep has a huge impact on something called your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is all about your mental acuity. Think about how many times you had to go back and fix silly mistakes because you weren't mentally sharp and you weren't present. And another big challenge with a lot of entrepreneurs is the inability to be present. They're like somewhere else. When they're at work, they're thinking about their family. When they're with their family, they're thinking about work. And so, like just getting your sleep so you have that mental acuity, that mental sharpness, you're less likely to make mistakes. Start cleaning up your food. Your food has a huge impact on your emotional stability. And a lot of people don't talk about that. I do a lot of course correcting with people that have severe anxiety, OCD, ADHD, and a lot of it can be prevented by just building out a daily structure. Also clean up your food, get your food on point, focus on eating for gut health, optimal performance for gut health, mental sharpness, and how it makes you feel after you eat, getting on a food schedule. The other one is exercise, move your body. I have some of my best breakthroughs when I exercise.
Same here.
Yeah. And then also learn how to get on your own team with something called auto suggestion. It's shape shifting the way that you speak to yourself. You have to start speaking life into yourself. It has a huge impact on your energy levels. You might be drained all day because you were shit talking yourself. I don't know, I'm allowed to curse, but like you might have just been like, yeah, your biggest critic. So those are like the 4 pillars, I would say, as far as human performance of just the foundation. If you can master those, you're going to cut out a lot of unnecessary things that you might be struggling with in your business and in your life.
Yeah, a lot of times because we're in sales, we're focused on this thought process that gets, thrown out everywhere of buyers are liars and this and that, and that could be true, but at the same time, you're creating this real negative feeling towards the consumer that you're working with, and essentially also putting that in your head and internalizing that person is more than likely lying to you, and you really don't want to work with this kind of person, and you're not giving them the opportunity, or yourself the opportunity, to actually pull through on what it is that you're trying to do for them. Also for yourself, it's so difficult to be in sales, when you make it difficult. If you are mentally thinking, I don't like to make these phone calls because I'm afraid of what they're going to say, versus, I have to make this phone call because I need to help this next person, it really changes the game. It changes how you portray yourself in your business, and if you really, and that's just the last part that you mentioned. The taking care of yourself is such a big deal. I will tell you that David and I had a moment where we were not working out. We were not working out. We were not eating the best. We were looking at each other. We were dragging. And even though we showed up to work, we were not at our highest self. And we had to break that pattern, because it doesn't get any better if you don't break that pattern.
Did you notice that it impacted your business like over a little bit of time in a negative way?
It does, because just in for your own self, you don't feel uh committed. You don't feel like you can do it. So I think like you said earlier, it starts with you. So if you can't do, then you can't receive. So it's so important that if you guys have been telling yourselves, I need to get back in shape, I need to start working out, this is not about looking beautiful. This is about feeling beautiful. It's about feeling good, about being able to move, and about doing something for you that makes you feel good. It hurts at the beginning, just like anything else. It
Mhm.
hurts at the beginning until you make it a habit, but then it is rewarding. There's so many people cannot be wrong about the same thing. So taking care of yourself, eating is the one thing we're kind of, because eating feels good when you're eating the wrong things, so that one is a little bit trickier.
So let
But
me talk about that real fast because this is totally bypassed. And that's why I say, like, when I focus on my athletes and my elite entrepreneurs, is like, what is the one thing you guys value? It's your mental sharpness, right? Like that's one thing you're like, I need to be mentally sharp. I gotta be alert. I gotta make big decisions. I have to be able to think for myself. And our food, it's almost like we don't realize it slowly. Like even for me, I finally cut out the Celsius and I never posted it, but I was totally like, I love Celsius. And I
we're
cut it
on
out
that.
for a week. I was having such bad withdrawals, but I knew that it was impact me from getting to the next level of my mental acuity. And one of the big things, even me as an entrepreneur and taking my business to the next level, I'm like, I want to be sharp I want to be on all the time. And you guys have access to that by like learning how to fully take care of yourself mentally, physically, emotionally, and even spiritually or energetically, whatever you believe in. But we can all agree that energy is real, energy is felt. Like
Yes.
some people are like, oh, I'm so tired. Like, so you don't really have any energy. But yeah, the food has a huge impact on your mood, your emotional stability, your emotional intelligence, which is a huge skill set for negotiation and what level you're going to play at in the entrepreneur space. So when
Yep.
you think about it like that, food kind of becomes a different relationship because everything's a relationship.
Yeah, that's very powerful. There's a couple people submitting some information on the chat. I have somebody that asked if auto suggestions as in affirmations. They want to confirm what your message when you said auto
Yeah.
suggestion.
So one book I've been doing, I started a group here in Miami, Conscious Entrepreneur, and we have like a book club and Think and Grow Rich. I know everybody's heard about it. So I started reading it again. And they talk a lot about auto suggestion. Auto suggestion is really about shape shifting. It could be an affirmation, but affirmations, like if they're not in alignment to the opposite of what you're saying, then it doesn't really resonate with you and it might actually have a backfiring effect. So auto suggestion is just like taking maybe a limiting belief that you have as a predominant one. Like, for example, since we're on the topic of working out, like, oh, well, when I make more money and I'll have more time and then I can work out. But you actually will make more money and have more time if you work out because you'll have the mental endurance to get things done more efficiently and more productive, which is a big thing that a lot of entrepreneurs complain about. So it's just about like, okay, well, it's shape shifting that. So it's saying like, well, when I work out and then I'll have the mental endurance, the mental capacity, the energy to be able to fulfill the demands that are required of me to be operating at peak performance. So then I can be a higher achiever, make more money, get in better relationships, networking events. Da, 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 da. So it's just like kind of taking something and it's called reframing it. Reframing. Hopefully that makes
Yeah,
sense.
so it's not I'm, my day is going to be amazing or this and that. It's more of like how you focus your energy to no longer be in a negative space, but more bring you more towards the direction of what it is that you want to do in a positive fashion, right? Something like that.
It's like what you want to claim and like how you want to reframe negative statements that, you got to pay attention to the energy behind everything. Because one thing when I work on with clients is, and I have like this life wheel. So there's like this life auditing where we take like the 10 segments of your life and you audit it. Like, what is this in my area? Is it a 10? And then we get clear on like, well, what is my belief and my relationship around it? Because if you have something, and if we talked about earlier on about that mental fogginess and not even knowing what you want, a lot of times people set backup goals because subconsciously they don't think they're capable of either deserving it, receiving it, or actually getting it because of all the past failures and disappointments. And
Yeah.
so the auto suggestion just
Fear.
kind of neutralizes the energy of it, where you can say something and you feel like it's like neutral. It's not like you don't feel angry about when you say it. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? Like you say something, it makes you angry and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear this BS. Like it's annoying. So affirmations are annoying. But if you create statements, they're setup statements or power statements that are more like has a neutral energy to it, then it's going to more serve you in the season that you're in your life.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Thank you for clarifying that. I wanted to take our direction to the audience that we have right now. I would like to hear from you guys, and please add to the chat. What are you guys doing that is repetitive on a daily, that is a positive impact in your daily routine, life, and business? I
Alina
have.
said something. Alina said
Um,
she starts her day with prayer and gratitude. And then I read a little bit, and then I read a little, I think you said bite, but you meant bit, and then try to eat and
mhm,
exercise as much as I can. Yeah.
that's perfect. That's awesome.
David.
David says pray. He's certainly praying right now.
David.
Baby, we're all praying for you.
We're praying for you, work out. You said something too about sleep. And David, you're absolutely right. Like everybody's different. It's just understanding like when you wake up, how do you feel like the most charged? Like for me, I do need 8 hours. Like 7 is good, 6 not so great, 7 to 8, but like everybody's a little different. And I've noticed a lot of people have sleep apnea because what they're doing in their night routine, they do not have a good night routine. And it does impact sleep. But sometimes if you're only sleeping like 2 to 3 hours, let that goal be 4. Like start with like a little extra and let that be a goal, and like add to that of quality uninterrupted sleep.
Make it like a progression. I tell people often it's very hard to set a goal and try to just go for that goal right away for a lot of people. Some people can do it, some people can't. And I think what's important is the progression to it. Set the, like you said, if it's something as simple as sleep, if you can't sleep for too many hours, just try to add another hour, and see what you can do. If it, going back to the sales aspect of things, because, again, this is for your real estate business. If you are comfortable with only making 10 phone calls today, okay, fine, but then tomorrow try to do 12 or 15 phone calls, and just make it a progression so that eventually you can get to the goal that you're trying to reach, and be proud of your progress. Do something that's attainable.
Celebrate your wins for sure. Somebody said, Vaughn said miracle morning every morning. I think I've heard of it, but I'm not exactly sure because everybody has a little bit different of a little flavor they put to that. And then unplugging once a day. I really want to talk about that. That's a really cool one. So for those of you that don't know, Stefan and David also said, sorry if I say your name wrong, you could correct me.
Steven.
Steven. Steven. Okay, sorry. So he takes 1 day a week to unplug from work and do something, and then David said the same thing. For me personally, I'm in a sprint season. So for the next 90 days, I set 3 like really big goals for myself, and it keeps me focused. So the more you grow, the more opportunities and distractions will come your way. And it's really important to stay focused on your targets. And so for me, I don't take a day off, but I treat my days like a sprint. So I'll do 3 hours on, 1 to 2 hours off, 3 hours on, 1 to 2 hours off. And I'll get like a solid 8, 9 hours in. And then maybe once or twice a week, I'll do like a 4 to 6 hour day. And I'll treat it as a sprint. And even Brandon Burchard said, which is another high performance coach. I think most people know him. He's pretty famous. And he was saying too, like the highest performing entrepreneurs and athletes, they really do treat like their days like a sprint. And what slows us down too, like understanding your non-negotiables and what speeds you up and what slows you down. If I try to push through for a whole day, even if I'm not in a sprint, it doesn't work for me. Like it actually drains me more. So don't be afraid to take breaks.
Automatically wants to take a break,
Mhm.
throughout the day. I think your body automatically wants to take a break, and we associate it with lunch, but after you eat lunch, you're also kind of, tired sometimes because you overdid it in the morning. You didn't do
Yeah,
that
I
break.
mean, that's how, like even if you have like your self-care routines, like your break would be like going for a walk or like making it a very efficient, productive, not just like sitting there and scrolling on social media. That's not an efficient break. Like everything you do, you want it to be intentional and efficient. So it pours into like kind of like they said unplug. Your break times are a plug. It's your like charging station. So make sure whatever you're scheduling in your day is a plug, like unplug to plug, unplug to charge. So I like how you guys said that word. Alana said between 7 to 8, and I do this too. I take 1 day sometimes only on mornings. Yeah, I mean, you find your flow. And remember, just because you do it in this season doesn't mean last season is going to work for this season. You guys should be having new goals and new aspirations and like, a bigger desire. If you're not, you really want to like look at that and say like, wait a second, something is off, because whatever you believe in, I believe in God. God plants big dreams inside of your heart intentionally for you to show up for them. And then we have the ability to choose the power of free will, whether we're going to be obedient to those goals, which is going to give us and allow us to feel fulfillment. And it's going to allow us to feel vitality. It's going to allow us to feel that freedom because we're actually showing up for them, even though it's super scary and very uncomfortable. Those are your seasons of your greatest growth. And when you take care of yourself, you're tuned in to that and you trust yourself. And that's another big thing that I find with people is, when we're doing the coaching program, it's actually a journey of self-trust. And a lot of people don't trust themselves. They don't trust their ability to make the right decisions because of the past mistakes and the past things that they still haven't even forgiven themselves on or forgiven others on. And so you can't really fully like slingshot forward. Kind of look at it as like a slingshot.
Yep, it's like they have their eyes on the rearview mirror, just looking at what they did in the past and not focusing on what they can do in the future or their potential. That past actually created, a stronger way for them to actually do the things that they're meant to do. I have a question here. How do from Vaughn? She asked, "How do we work as a sprint?" She says she needs help with it because she seems to be working all day and she's not feeling very productive.
Yeah, I think I don't know what David wrote in there, but yeah, Steven's right. Time blocking small goals that will lead to bigger ones. But it's also too, I think David said something about priorities. A lot of times people don't know how to discern priorities from important things. And I mean, I have a whole course built on it. One thing I'm going to gift everybody is the accountability calendar. but a sprint is more about understanding like what your priorities are. Like David said right now, like if I always think of it like this, if 3 months passed, because I like to take it in 3 month series and I don't like to take it a whole year, it's like too much for me. Because 3 months, I'm like, okay, it's a long enough and I feel capable, but it's like not so long where I feel like I could be dragging my feet if I wanted to. So I have to put a fire under my butt. I think of like if 3 months go by and it's September, what are a few things that I would achieve and I would feel like proud of myself and I would be really, really happy about? And that eliminates a lot of things. So if you kind of do like a time lapse and you think of like if 1 year goes by or 3 months go by and you've achieved that thing, I would say just start focus on one thing and then you reverse engineer it. So then you set up your DMOs, your SOPs on your daily methods of how you're operating in alignment to showing up. For example, I'm writing my book. And every day, even if it's just 15 minutes, I'm pouring life into it. I'm giving it a pulse. So, what projects are you guys like that are in your heart or in your mind that maybe you're dragging your feet on? Maybe it's taking your business to another level, even if it's like follow ups and like replies and responses, like making sure you're time blocking that because I'm 100% a huge fan of time blocking. And but you got to give like those things a home inside of the time block and also a time. But if there's days where we go back to not being able to process negative thoughts and emotions and you get this mental paralysis, you have to also know how to overcome. Part of self mastery is understanding yourself and knowing how to still move through procrastination, how to move through overwhelm, how to move through anxiety and still be able to perform.
Right. We have somebody threw in uh, goals here, Stephen. He said 100 calls a day, 2 new buyers a day, two new appointments a day. Those are his small goals and definitely achievable goals.
Yeah. And if you're somebody that's overwhelming for you because maybe you've got 3 kids, 4 kids, 2 dogs, few chickens running around, you know, like you got a farm, I don't know, whatever you've got going on, I have to identify like, well, what are your obligations? And I'm a really big fan of like having a productivity schedule without compromising yourself, your family, and the things that you love. So when you're on a sprint and when you're time blocking, those are non-negotiables, even if it is something where you're scheduling a date night like once a week. I don't know if David and Eugen, I know you guys go on dates and stuff, but that's
Yeah,
time,
we do.
right? That's scheduled.
Yeah.
I would
Sometimes
think.
we don't have it scheduled. Sometimes it's just a purpose. Like this,
Yeah.
every week we try to do it at least once a week, whether it's at the beginning of the week or at the end of the week. But, if it doesn't happen, we feel that, so,
Yeah.
so we make it a purpose the following week. Sometimes you miss on certain things that you intend to do, but we definitely go for it the following week, but we've been, I would say, so far very consistent with that. And with what you just said right now, I think it's time blocking, but it's being present. You had mentioned earlier being present, and I was just thinking about my own day. I have so many things going on, being supportive to David and our businesses, the stuff that we're doing, also my mortgage business, our children, the volleyball, our parents that live with us and are dependent of us. We have so many things going on our plate, and everybody in our, the people, our staff, our agents, that, you know, work is work. It's identifying, I guess, what is work. What do you consider the work part of your day, and then
It's like
David
need
says
a
we need a
vacation.
vacation. We like take vacations that are work vacations. Okay, they're not true vacations. We're actually
They're
networking.
efficient and productive and intentional.
Exactly. So, and thinking about the day, it's being present. I think oftentimes I go throughout my day reacting. That's why I mentioned it earlier, because I'm speaking for myself, is I react to the things that are coming at me because there's so much going on. But at the same time, I'm proud of the progress that I make. I make lists, I make sure that I am present, to do the things that I'm supposed to be doing for my children. So if I'm at the volleyball game, I'm at the volleyball game, and stuff like that. There are times that I kind of sway away from it, but it's progress. It's in being aware of what we want to do and how we want to be in our lives, and then you know embracing that. I sometimes people take for granted that they have to do things for other people. Yes, you have to do stuff for yourself, but I'm grateful that I have people I have things to do for, because they want me, they need me, and I like to feel that need, and I like to feel that I'm support, and that's who I am. And identifying who you are and what your capabilities are, and being proud of that, and being present are such big things that I hope people take away, your message today. As I know there's so much more you can pour onto us.
I
And
just want one thing though, just for them to understand, because I think this is a big one, especially with busting limiting beliefs, is like, if you guys are not showing up for the things that you know are going to make you better, just allow yourself to brain dump all of the reasons why. Write down all your excuses, just allow them to pour out into a piece of paper, and then look at it and do it anyway, because the only way to truly change a belief is by giving yourself a new experience. You'll never change a belief if you don't ever have a new experience. And that's where knowledge stems from. Knowledge only stems from experiences, by doing. That's the only way. Or else everything else is just an assumption, which isn't even real. So just do that exercise. I want to leave them with that, because I know we're like closing out now.
yes, thank you for that. I was actually going to ask you to do something like that anyway. So you got it.
Yeah,
You got
I'm
it right
very
on
big
time.
on like homework and practical stuff and exercises versus like concepts and philosophy, because it doesn't matter how much we talk. It's like, we want you guys to be successful. We want you guys to be better performers, because like the world is going to benefit more when you start giving the world the best of you versus what's left of you.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much for being part of this. You can see Tanya in person at the Freedom Day conference next week on Tuesday, June 20th. She has so much more to offer to us. Today we touched on a couple of those subjects. And if you need to have a personal conversation with her, want to have a personal conversation with her, Tanya, can you please provide them with your contact information? Maybe put it on the chat, but also say it out loud for those who can't.
Yeah, I'm pretty active on Instagram. It's Tanya C. Oliver. I just put it on there. Also, I'm funneling out my Facebook, so don't send me a Facebook request. I have to get back to like 1,000 people. But Instagram, I'm very active, so send me a message there, or you can send me an email, Tanya at tanyacoliver.com.
Awesome. Well, we look forward to seeing some of you guys next week. Thank you again for showing up today. Let's keep our prayers for David, that he is about to go into surgery in the next couple minutes. And again, thank you. It's a Freedom Day. Make it a great one. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye. Can't wait to connect. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much, Jen and David. Excited to see you guys.
Thank you, Tanya. Thank you so much.